prison, our fathers are refusing to stand up and fight. So now what was that looking like to the world? No, the troublemakers are only these ones. South Africans don't have a problem with apartheid, you see.
Okay.
Yes. So it's something that when they don't have a problem with apartheid. So now Mandela and all these political leaders that is in prison, there's almost, if now the striking, if black people don't stand up and fight, they were going to rot and die in prison, because now there was no crisis in prison in South Africa, because now of what's happened in Sharpeville. Our fathers, they simply just agreed to apartheid and moved on. So now I think it was another, it was in 70 something, because I remember watching a document of a guy who was also in prison with Mandela. They said Mandela came with a guy, let us sharpen the spear of the nation. Let us use the youth, you see. If our fathers don't want to stand up and fight, then why can't we use the youth? This is also their country. Because that's how Mandela took the struggle. He took the struggle because everything now, it was him who came with the idea.
Mandela.
Yes, it was him, Mandela. It was Mandela who came with the idea, because now you see, Mandela was the Secretary General of the ANC. He was not what? The president. The president was what was Sisulu. But now if you hear the songs, we all called Mandela. There were very few songs of Sisulu, very few songs but it was always Mandela. Everything was about Mandela. And like I said, when we were growing up, when we were in prison, everybody, when we were at school, you see, they used to convey these messages. Mandela said this, Mandela said to us. Yeah, it was all Mandela, you see. Because that's how Mandela took the struggle. Because now, after that, from 1976, they started now what? Using the youth. Because what they said, we should stand up and fight against what the Africans, not the African government, the education system was wrong, because they were teaching us in Afrikaans, you see.
Bantu education.
Yeah, because it was first Bantu education, and then they wanted to change the whole language to what now we must learn everything in Afrikaans. Yes. So now that's what they told us. They told the youth of 1970 to stand up and fight, you see. Now children being children, they started throwing stones at the police. Police fired at them. So the struggle began. You see, now that's what they wanted. They used the youth, you see, because it is all a lie. Like now, you tell me now, go to Ubuhle, those schools that I went, those schools are closed, totally closed. Ubuhle, Dumane, Dumane is still functioning. Putuman, those schools are closed. Why they are closed? Because every black parent, they will rather, even how poor they are, but they will rather take their last cent and take their children to white and Indian schools and colored schools. Why? Why? Because now they said most it was about education. So now we fought and died for what? Because even that education, now you go to any child that goes to these black schools, you sit with them intellectually, you just speak with them, try to think their mind, you'll see there's nothing. There's nothing, because schools and black education, they see most, our parents see it most. That's why now they will spend their lives. Why now we still hear every morning, oh Malume, they are coming now. They're collecting the to white schools. And if now it was about liberation. So I was so conscious when I was young. I was conscious of all those things, that anger. So I told myself, what I told myself is, they will never govern this country. Yeah, they will never govern this country in peace. Because I remember most from the time when I went to prison, in prison, I always thought crime. I always thought, yeah, we must never, but one crime, and I was always against violent crime. Yeah, violent crime, like to come inside a house and grab a father in front of a child, a small child, and put a gun pointing at them. That thing destroys that child. You destroy the child. So things like that, they are abhorrent to me. Things that I hate. I always tell them in prison, listen, why instead? Because now if you can come inside the house, that is life sentence. You come inside the house, you point at men, you make him open the safe, and then you take everything that is in the safe, you run away. And then coming inside and breaking and taking a safe and break. But if we both arrested, I'm facing 7 years, we are facing 70 years maximum. You see, I always thought that in prison. But crime itself, I never had a problem with crime, you see. Because now, to see my young brothers and my sisters now, they were deteriorating towards prostitution, to crime, because of what? Because of the lies. Because these people, they saw it, they knew it. They knew we were going to be like this here. They knew. Lucky Dube in the 80s, I think it was in 1986 or 87, they released a song. There won't be no schools anymore. They won't build no hospitals. They won't build no schools anymore. They won't build no hospitals. All they build will be prison. He said that in the 80s. Those same kids, it was those same kids that killed him. It was those same kids that hijacked him. That guy in that video is sitting there hijacking cars. You see, he predicted it. He died from what he prophesied. The same youth. So how come they have never, they didn't see that what they were doing then? Because now you can never tell a child, if you're a man, tell a child to stand up and fight. You protect your child. Child must go to school. Because like growing up, I always never liked Ubab. I never liked the men. Because I was living around the ANC. So they was fighting ANC and IFP, you see. But I never understood the man. It was only now when I grew up, I started reading his book. Because for him, if I remember now when I was young, for him, he asked a question. If now you use a youth, who will rule the country in the future? Yes. That's why he broke up. He broke up from ANC from then on. He broke up in 1974. He went and opened his own political party. Why? Because now he believed in education. Even then, you see, it was Zulu. It was a Zulu government. Zechi. Here, the parliament was Zulu. Yeah. So all our books and everything were founded with. They came from that side from Zulu. He believed in education. You see. Okay. Even he believed that we should negotiate with the white, with Amapo, with the Boras. He believed that we should negotiate. Okay, he was outside, inside, they were outside. They were inside, he was outside. But at that time, like what we were told that when Amapo, he sold out many black people. Okay, those were stories that we believe were young. But it was only when I grew up that man was right. Because now, even if you remember when you were growing up, when you look at the IFP riots, you'll find old men with big stomach and imcod and Amazons. And then you find the ANC, you find small young children, yes. Even from during the 80s. In the 80s, young children will rise June 16. They will rise and block the roads with stones and tires and what. But elders will come with shambox. They will beat those children and make them pull all those things up until the NC, they put the guns for the children, and then the IFP put the guns. So that was the black struggle. Now it started because now we were fighting what we call fighting against a white man. But now if you can now look at the struggle, because they call it mostly armed struggle. If you look at the struggle, about maybe 50 people, I'm not sure, but I don't even think it's 50. Maybe I'll go to 20 of white people that died from black people's hands. And then I will take to a black man that died in a white man's hand. It was about maybe 10,000. But I will take a black man that died from a black man. It was over 2 million. The way IFP and NC, the way it was so intense all these years, they were killing one another like. But now who we were fighting, you see, because now the struggle had to go on. So I'm not sure, but of him now moving and diverting to IFP and moving out of ANC and forming that's when the blacks, this thing what you call armed struggle started like that. Children rising up against their elders, the fighting, the shooting. But now what they did not know when they were in prison. Okay, I'm not saying they were wrong. I can never say they were wrong in letting the children fight. Yes, it's also our country. Like now we are responsible now for this country, because many people of my age like you see, now you're working, now you're in a working class, now you're no more a child, you see. So now let's say they gave you a better chance. Like maybe if it was still in those offices, you wouldn't even be in those offices, you see now. Yeah, let's say that, you see. But when they were in prison, they never had an alternative.
Okay, so
because now
so the alternative that they chose, if I'm getting you correctly, you understand it because it was necessary.
Yes, it was necessary. Yeah, it was necessary.
So, okay, you're not condemning them, but you're saying it was a necessary evil in a way.
Yeah, it was necessary because, okay, our fathers now are refusing to fight. But now, it was now another evil, now telling a child to go and start and teaching him to kill. At a young age, giving him a gun. You see? Yeah, they gave young children guns. They bought them leather jackets. They bought them pangas. You see, I'm a comrade. They had leather jackets, they had pangas that went inside like swords. Yeah, it's a bags. We know those pangas, you see. They give them drugs.